Welcome back to New Amsterdam Radio, the podcast for creators. It is I, the mayor, Flobo Boyce, in the mayor's office, hanging with people who are doing the dang thing. Now, if you're a long-term listener to the show, you know I scribbled my own memoir, Graduation Day, available at Amazon, but someone actually wrote a good book. Please welcome my guest, Angelique Joan. How's it going?
Hey, it's going well. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm so glad you have some time to make it in your busy schedule because you do a lot. We'll get to your book in a second, but I always tell people who are multi hyphenates like yourself, how do you describe what you do? Like if you're at a party and someone's like, "So, how do you bang on?" Like, what do you tell them? How do you phrase it?
It's my least favorite question to when someone asks me what I do at a party. I tend to just stick to one thing, but it's quite difficult nowadays. I'd say I'm a actor, writer, actor, writer, screenwriter, author. Those are the two things that take up the most time. And voiceover. I do a lot of voiceover work, so that tends to, those three things I juggle quite a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, that is crazy. And as we are recording this, you are broadcasting in the United Kingdom. What's the voiceover writing scene like in London? You don't really, from here in Los Angeles, no one really talks about it. So here's a chance to paint us a picture of what the scene is like.
Yeah. Okay. So voiceover, really, I got really into it during COVID because obviously everyone was stuck at home. So you could record at home. You could build your own little studio, which is my closet full of clothes, and that's where I record. And I do anything from commercial, corporate, animation. And now that the world has opened again, I go into town in London to record. And I'm half French, half English, so I have the benefit of doing, both languages. And then being a writer, how to describe it, is a lot of just staring at your laptop, hoping something's going to happen. Just a lot of that. And when you have good ideas, it's the best days ever. I'm currently writing a couple of scripts. I've got a couple of scripts on the go. But writing a book is a whole different beast. I never thought I would do it. I still forget sometimes I've done it because the process of getting it out there was so intense and took so long that, when you're so in a project, all you want to do is get out of it, get away from it when it's done. So I do forget sometimes that's something I have done, and I'm really proud of it. But it's been a journey to write it, for sure.
So let's talk about this. The book is called Ready, Set, 30, and it's available at all fine bookstores because if you don't have it, it's not a fine bookstore at all. Why was 30 such a milestone for you? Why not Ready, Set, 25, Ready, Set, 35, Ready, Set, 27? What about 30 would you go, you know what? This story needs to be told.
That's a great question. Well, my 20s were like most people, a mess, a complete mess. I moved to London when I was and I didn't have a clue about how to be an actor, where to start. I didn't have any money. And then the dating scene in London's a mess. So you combine being unemployed
I visited in January. I was impressed. Or because I'm a foreigner. Is that different because you're a foreigner?
Yeah, 100%. You get bonus. You absolutely get the bonus rounds when you're a foreigner. Yeah, when you're a Londoner, it's just you're trying to navigate through the weeds of the fields of undecent people. And I was so lost and confused in my 20s, but also a lot of funny moments happened. And I kept a list of really horrible dates, the worst jobs, the side jobs that an actor has to do. Like, you've heard the waitress or the typical office jobs that an actor has to do. But I've had some really wacky jobs, and I've met some of my best friends on these jobs. So obviously it's all been okay in the end. But the stories I thought were going to be meant for something, the fact that I was going through all of this and it was very funny and entertaining to my friends when I relayed these stories to my friends, that I thought at some point, I hope that this will make a script or something. And then COVID happened the year I turned 30, and I hadn't really thought about turning 30 until, it's right about to happen. And what does it actually mean? And it made me look back on my 20s and how much I've changed and evolved. And I wanted to incorporate entertaining people because I couldn't do it. I couldn't act when it was COVID times. So my only way of entertaining was through my writing. And I was trying to make people laugh and make people feel comforted by my silly stories and being 25 and, not having a clue and being on the 17th date that's not working out and not really getting to a good point in your career where you always feel frustrated with where you're at. And it was more than the bigger message of it's okay not to have it figured out. And I just wrote during COVID, and it just became 7 chapters about 7 different areas of your life. It's got love, work, body image, instincts, career, family, friends. It covers quite a big range of topics, and it includes just my most hilarious, embarrassing moments in my life so far.
so far. Oh, there will be more. No, I'm just kidding. Not to make this about me, but my memoir graduation is very, very similar. I was a fiction writer, and nobody bought my books. But then being locked inside during the pandemic, I decided to have my last book, to graduate from writing and having all of my L's in one compendium, and end up being well received and all that. So I guess the question I have for you when it comes to Ready, Set, 30, I mean, you have these experiences, you want to write them, you were in the pandemic, you decide to do it, but a lot of times we start a project and we go, oh, that was fun for today, I'll get back to it, let me not finish it. But you finish it and now it's available on Amazon. So what pushed you through the edits? What pushed you through the draft revisions, looking for an editor, looking for a release, if how that path?
Yeah, it was tough. There were absolute moments where I was like, what am I doing? What was I thinking? This is so difficult. I don't like this chapter anymore. Why have I written this? And you can go a bit nuts in terms of the editing side of things with my editor. It's really good to have a fresh pair of eyes and someone who is going to cut things and is going to say, okay, what are you trying to say here? So that helped. But then when that was done, I had this whole moment of, no, but do I want this out there? Just occurring to me that this might be out there and it will be read by my family, my friends, and many people. It kind of stopped me for a while. And also I was like, well, is this even good? And, the whole self-doubt thing comes in, and it just takes months to get rid of. And then eventually,
I think with the headlock, like, well, how did you tell self-doubt to shut up? I'm going to read this book or else? Did you have an idea, a tactic? Did you like liquid courage?
Liquid courage, obviously. But that aside, I'd say, family and friends pushed me to get this out because they were like, you've written it, you've edited it, you've got a book cover. The only thing you have to do is press publish on Amazon. That's all you have to do. And you're the only one stopping yourself. So to answer your question, I have good days and bad days with self-doubt. I think I have days where I wake up and I know it's just not going to be the best day in terms of what I'm going to accomplish. And then some other days I'm like, oh, you know what? F this. I need to just focus and get something done. And I know I'm sitting on something that I've worked really hard on. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, I didn't have a lot of expectations, obviously, because I didn't know anything different. This was my first book. So you kind of have to breathe and then just do it, really.
Yeah. I want to ask you about specific chapters in the book. Before I do that, can you give us a little bit of a spoiler almost? How are you today as a person, mind, body, and soul, the career, the love, the body image? Where are you mentally now?
Well, so now is a couple of years after the book's been published. Actually, that's not even true. What am I saying? It's not been a year. I'm thinking when I started the book, when I started writing the book, that's been a few years now. I am in a place where I definitely still have those moments of self-doubt. They don't really go away. I think I have a much more, I know myself way better. So I know how to handle my anxiety and my bad days. I feel I've got a routine every day, because when you're in the creative world in general, there's so much that you have no control over. So I try to stick to a few things I can control, which is meditating, exercising, eating well, wine, and sort of like just combining all of that usually helps. But of course, I'm going to have weeks where I don't know what I'm doing, and I'll be really close to like an acting role and I won't get the role and it all falls down again. And some days are very difficult when it comes to rejection, but I'm better at handling it, better than I was in my 20s. And then I no longer have to deal with the horrible dates anymore. I am with a partner. So that helps, that whole side of things. Yes, thank you. I managed to like get the one guy in London. No, I'm not saying that, because it won't be good for all the single girls left in London. There's still hope whilst there's still hope. But no, I feel like, you know, my 20s were a whole different decade, and the 30s are, you know, challenging, but in a different way. And I think that's just how it's meant to be. Every decade's meant to be different and challenging, and you're always evolving anyway.
I think
which
that's so
makes
great
it really
that you said
special.
that. I'm so glad you said that, because there's a lot of times you listen to podcasts or Instagram clips and someone's like, yeah, I was sad, but now I'm not. I'm cured. You can be too. You buy my book or whatever. And to say that it is a process and there's different kinds of challenges always makes my heart go a little bit fonder. You know, like, okay, we're all humans. But we had connected before online, before you were on the show. And I was like, tell me more about your book and your soul. And you said that you used to work for a toy pooping flamingo event job. Like, well, what was that about? And why are flamingos pooping? And why is someone decided that's for kids? Tell me.
I'm so happy you've brought that up. That was one of the worst jobs I've ever done, by far. And I've done some shockers, but that was part of so I used to do event work. So I used to be a hostess or a stand person for various different events. And this particular event was called the Toy Fair, the London Toy Fair event. And it's a 3-day event. And I was booked for the 3 days. And I didn't know really what the job entailed, which was a bit my mistake. I should have maybe asked. But usually those shows, they just put you at a desk. You're a receptionist. There's not much going on. This one, I got there, and the guy basically was telling me, you know, you've got the most exciting like stand. It's huge, and I think a lot of people are going to be interested in it. And I'm like, brilliant. That's not really what I wanted. I kind of wanted to do the bare minimum, but fine. At least maybe the days will go quicker. So I get there and I see quite a lot of toys, and he's like, you're going to be demonstrating this toy. And I look at it, and it's called the Pooping Flamingo. And I kid you not, it's a flamingo that does a little dance, does a wiggle dance, and then poops. And it's got a song that says, "Uh-oh, gotta go. Uh-oh, gotta go." Yeah.
Okay.
And I had to listen to this song, and I had to demonstrate this to people for 3 days. And I don't know how to describe it to you. I don't know how I managed the 3 days, and I don't know how anyone thought this was okay. And that's just a little molecule of like how silly my life was. I was also, I mean, this is all in the book, right, in the work section, but I have a whole list of like the craziest jobs. And I did bag search security at Kensington Palace, where the Diana exhibition was taking place. And I don't know, if you look at me, it doesn't really scream bag search security, going through people's bags and checking for knives, you know, it's not really. But they somehow hired through an events agency, and most of us, we are actors, we're musicians, right? We're not really trained security people. And we got there and we were explained the job, and I was like, what do you mean? Like, where's the real security? And they were there, but they weren't searching the bags. That was our job. And I can tell you all sorts of things I found in those bags. Oh my God.
Love it.
Things people on a whole new level. Yeah.
Well, I saw the pooping flamingo, and it's still available on Amazon, so I might actually get a couple now, because I feel like we're linked on the poop of the flamingo. But definitely, yeah, you can still get a couple of them on Amazon. We're gonna get that after the show. I'm gonna get some, and I'm gonna have them all over my office. They're gonna be right here on this desk as we speak.
Obviously created, like, no offense to the person who created this game, I'm sure like there was a moment in your life you thought that'd be funny. Maybe it was a joke on me, but I hope it's going well.
Yeah. Well, Angelique Joan, thank you so much for being on the show. But before we get out of here, I know you're a busy person. We have to ask our guests some department questions, some everything that's rank and file, just to get more about you as a creative. I know you're down because, look, you're human, just like us. So question number one is the most difficult question I ask everyone, and that is, what is your favorite junk food?
Oh, so do you know what? I'm coming to the States end of the year, and I can't wait for In-N-Out burger.
Nice.
But then if it's in England, you know what? It's not really junk food, but like a good fish and chips in a pub. It's pretty good. Yeah. I'll go with that.
I was in Scotland in January, and I had my first, I guess, United Kingdom fish and chips with mushy peas, which is actually a real thing. I had no idea that was a real thing. I'm totally a foreigner there.
But that's it was a real. Went to a real place. It wasn't a fake fish and chips. If they gave you mushy peas, it's usually a good sign.
Good to know. Pro tip. It was fine. It's kind of hard to describe to your friends, like what you eat. What's that in the picture? Well, listen, it looks like baby food, but it's actually pretty good. You've traveled to the United States. You're saying you're going to the United States. You said, but what is left on your travel bucket list? Where else in the world do you want to visit?
I'd love to do the Caribbean. Any of them, to be honest. St. Lucia or Barbados is definitely up there. I've traveled a fair bit, to be honest. I really have done quite a lot on my bucket list, but that a tropical island where not a lot of people on it,
yeah,
would be great, with like the bluest sea. Yeah.
Well, I'm biased because my family's from Barbados, and since it's a coral island, the sand's better and the water's bluer. So forget St. Lucia. Come to BIM, I say.
I take it back. Barbados.
Yeah. And lastly, what's the nicest thing a fan or supporter has ever done for you to show their support?
I get a lot of messages through my website, which always baffles me because I do forget as well that I have a website. And it's really nice just to be sent messages. And people leaving reviews of my work, and I work with a few same people on some shoots, like a makeup artist, and they all showed up with my book one day, and that was so nice. It's the little things, and it really shows support. So yeah, just messages really.
Oh, that's pretty fun. That's awesome. Angelique, thanks so much for taking the time out to be on Knew Amsterdam Radio, the podcast for creators. But now is the fun part. If someone wanted to engage with you on that website or on social, they want to track you down to have you on their show, how do they go about doing that?
So Instagram's probably the easiest way, angelique.joan. But my website, angeliquejoan.com as well. Those two ways are good.
Simple. I love it. I was waiting for a whole long of things. Like, oh yeah, I'm on TikTok, Flim Flam, Threads. You're just like, yeah, those two, we're fine.
Well, you know what? TikTok, I did try. I am on TikTok. I am on TikTok. But I thought you meant if you want to reach out. That's probably the easiest way. But I am on TikTok. I think it's under Angelique Joan as well. I'm not on Threads yet.
I want to be able to connect with you down the line. If I can have you on the show later on, a future episode, it will mean the world to me. Let me know how your schedule is. But as we get out of here, any final words for our listeners?
Well, thanks for listening. And I hope you learned something. I'm sure you didn't, but what can I say? I try.